Leafeon debuted in Generation 4, but contrary to what you might expect, you couldn't evolve Eevee into a Leafeon with a Leaf Stone. Instead, you had to level up Eevee near a Moss Rock. And it wasn't until Generation 8 that they simplified things, allowing Eevee to evolve into a Leafeon simply using a Leaf Stone. Similarly, Glaceon, which also debuted in Generation 4, required Eevee to be leveled up near an Ice Rock to evolve. This too was changed in Generation 8, where the evolution could be achieved with simply an Ice Stone. Another Pokemon whose evolution method was tied to its environment was Crabominable. In Pokemon Sun and Moon, Crabrawler evolved into Crabominable when leveled up at Mount Lanakila, a specific cold location in the game. Since this location isn't present in any other game, the evolution method changed when the creature returned in Scarlet and Violet, to where you simply use an Ice Stone. In Generation 2, a unique evolution method was introduced, where based on the time of day, certain Pokemon would evolve. For instance, Eevee could only evolve into Espeon during the day, and Umbreon at night. However, this mechanic wasn't available in the Generation 3 games due to a lack of an in-game night setting. Instead, players had to trade their Eevee to Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, where they could use the Moon Shard to night evolve Pokemon and the Sun Shard to day evolve Pokemon. Originally, Lycanroc had exclusive forms depending on the game you were playing, midday form in Pokemon Sun and midnight form in Pokemon Moon. But since then, both versions of Lycanroc have become available in any game. In later games like Sword and Shield, you could evolve Rockruff into midday Lycanroc by leveling it up during the day, and into midnight Lycanroc by leveling it up at night. To obtain a Dusk Lycanroc, you needed a special Rockruff with the ability Own Tempo, and it was only available in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. It could only evolve into its Dusk form during a specific time window at dusk. When the Pokemon returned in Sword and Shield, they changed this to make it more convenient. Now you could simply catch a Rockruff with Own Tempo and evolve it into Dusk Lycanroc at any time. Milotic is another Pokemon with an interesting evolution history. In Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, Feebas evolved into Milotic by maxing out its beauty condition. This was tough because finding Feebas was already difficult, and raising its beauty took a lot of effort too. Later games simplified this process by using a prism scale for evolution instead, making it much more straightforward and accessible. Sylveon was a key representative of Generation 6's innovations, showcasing the new Fairy type and incorporating novel evolution mechanics. To evolve Eevee into Sylveon in Pokemon X and Y, players had to ensure Eevee knew a Fairy type move, and built up at least 2 levels of affection in Pokemon Amie. This system carried over to Pokemon Sun and Moon through Pokemon Refresh, maintaining the focus on developing a close bond. However, in Sword and Shield, there wasn't really an equivalent minigame to continue this method, so the evolution process was simplified. Affection was replaced with friendship, while retaining the Fairy type move requirement. This prevented accidental evolutions into Espeon or Umbreon, and highlighted the special bond needed for Sylveon. Shedinja has always been a very unique Pokemon when it came to its evolution. When Nincada evolved into Ninjask at level 20, it would leave behind its empty shell, which became Shedinja, a separate Pokemon, provided there was an empty space in the player's party. However, in Generation 4, this method saw a slight adjustment. In addition to needing an extra party slot, players now had to have a spare Pokeball in their bag, which would be consumed when Shedinja appeared. This tweak was likely introduced to align with the game's general rule and logic, that acquiring a Pokemon requires a Pokeball. Not having any Pokeballs simply means that no Shedinja would spawn. This evolution method has remained consistent in every game since. Unsurprisingly, there's a lot of cases within regional variants too. While some evolve exactly the same, some methods were completely changed from their original variant. Like Alolan Rattata, while Kanto Rattata evolves into Raticate by leveling up, the Alolan version requires a bit more nighttime magic, as you need to level up Alolan Rattata to level 20 to get an Alolan Raticate. This nocturnal twist plays into its dark typing that fits perfectly with the Alola region's theme. Unlike the original ground type Sandshrew, which evolves into Sandslash at level 22, Alolan Sandshrew needs an Ice Stone to become Alolan Sandslash. This Ice Steel version feels like it's come straight out of a Winter Wonderland. Normally Vulpix evolves into Ninetales with a Fire Stone, but the Alolan variant needs an Ice Stone to evolve. Alolan Meowth takes a different path. Instead of a straightforward level up method used by the Kanto Meowth, the Alolan version needs high friendship to evolve into Alolan Persian. Honestly, I've personally never been a fan of a friendship requirement, and I wish they just made it a night evolved Pokemon. The original Cubone evolves into Marowak at level 28, but for the Alolan form, you need to level up Cubone at night. This ties into Alolan Marowak's Ghost Fire typing, and adds a bit of mystery and lore to the process. It's a neat way to bring in the regional flavor and make the evolution feel more connected to Alola. Unlike the original Slowpoke, which evolves into Slowbro via leveling up, and into Slowking using a King's Rock, Galarian Slowpoke evolves into Galarian Slowbro when traded holding a Galarica Cuff, and into Galarian Slowking when traded with a Galarica Reef. I love that this dual trade evolution connects deeply with the Galar region's unique items, so I think it's pretty good. While the original Fire-type Darumaka evolves into Darmanitan through leveling up, the Ice-type Galarian Darumaka needs an Ice Stone to become Galarian Darmanitan. The original Yamask evolves into Cofigurus at level 34, but for Galarian Yamask, you need to take more than 49 hit points of damage, and then walk under a specific arch in the Dusty Bowl area in order to evolve it into Runerigus. Much like Spiritomb, this is very random, but at least it's somewhat related to the geography of the region, and makes it feel like a mini quest on its own. Unlike the original Farfetch'd, which never evolved, Galarian Farfetch'd requires landing 3 critical hits in a single battle to evolve. This can be quite a task, making the process a bit more complex than just leveling up. It adds a bit more strategy than usual. So even if I'm not a fan of the method, I must admit that it's pretty unique. The classic Zigzagoon evolves into Linoone at level 20 and stops there. However, in the Galar region, Galarian Linoone evolves into Obstagoon at level 35, and only at night. As much as I love this Pokemon, I would love to see a day variant, since Linoone has never evolved otherwise. While Mime Jr. requires the move Mimic to level up, the Galarian version takes it a step further. Galarian Mr. Mime evolves into Mr. Rime at level 42, quite a steep level climb, but it definitely brings a fresh final form that fits well with the cultural flair of the Galar region. The original Basculin didn't evolve at all, but the Hisuian version evolves into Basculegion after taking recall damage that totals at least 294 HP without fainting. Very odd and specific, but things are very weird in Hisui, so I guess it fits. While the original Electric-type Voltorb evolves using a Thunderstone, the Hisuian version, which is Grass Electric, evolves into Hisuian Electrode using a Leaf Stone. Honestly, this might be my favourite regional variant off the design alone. So far, that is all the evolution methods that were changed in Pokemon. Pretty sure I got all of them, but if I missed any, of course let me know in the comments down below. Also let me know what kind of topics you want me to cover, as I'm always listening. But that's all for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.